Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Harper branch of the Waterloo Public Library. I'm Christine, and I'm here with another Paint Along afternoon. Welcome. So before we get started, I usually like to go over my equipment and also some cleaning techniques that you'll need a little bit later once we're done. I've got today for equipment, I have the canvas I'll be using. It's a 8x10 canvas that I have actually reused, but that's fine. I painted it white and we'll be covering it later. I have my palette, which is an old cutting board that I've used. These are my brushes. I have the two flat brushes here. They're about 1 centimeter wide, and some other rounds that I can use for detail brushes. A cup of water for cleaning brushes, and a spray bottle just in case things start to dry up on me. Sometimes that's handy to have as well. Finally, I have paint. Today I'm going to be using a lamp black, vermilion red, cobalt blue, and lemon yellow. And just a word about paints. Depending on the paint you're using, your picture will probably turn out differently. Different paints have different consistencies. Some have really good covering power. Some of them you can see right through all the time. And that's great if you know what situation you want for that to happen. The colors are also pretty interesting. I did this painting with phthalo blue and vermilion. So the phthalo blue is sort of the blue in the clouds here, and the vermilion is the red color with a little bit of white added in. And this is the same painting, put them side by side, that I did with ultramarine blue and crimson. So you can see the phthalo blue this one's the phthalo blue, has very strongly moved towards like a little bit of a greeny blue, and it's very, very strong blue color. The ultramarine blue allowed itself to kind of fade into the background and warm up and became a very purpley color. So just, some contrasts there. I should say I used no black in either of these paintings. So you can see that while the shades kind of look a little bit similar in the dark areas, when you start adding white, you notice a big difference in how the different paints react to white and to fading. So there you are. A little bit about cleaning. For the care of your brush, I recommend cleaning your brush by swirling around in here until some of the paint comes off, and then just sort of dabbing it on some paper towel. Okay, and then you can put it aside and it'll be okay until the end of the program, and you can take it to the sink and give it a good proper wash. But until then, just swirl it and dab it. Okay. For cleaning your palette at the end, paint contains a lot of chemicals, some heavy metals sometimes, basically a lot of stuff we don't want to end up in our drinking water. So what I usually do is after a program, I take my spray bottle, I give the palette a bit of a spray, I take a paper towel, I wipe it all off, and I toss the paper towel into the bag. I might do this into the garbage. I might do this like 2 or 3 times until all the loose paint has kind of come off and is in the garbage. And then I'll take it to the sink and rinse off just any fine particles that are left. So. If paint gets on your clothes, really your only chance is to wash it with a lot of water and try to get it out that way before it dries. Once acrylic paint dries, it's basically plastic and you won't have a chance of getting it out. So keep that in mind if you happen to get any paint on you. Hopefully you're wearing old clothes that you don't really care about getting paint on right now. That would be great. Okay, so now that everyone's had sort of a chance to tune in, there we go. Just going to change some settings. Good. So I see we have 11 people. Welcome. Thank you for watching. Feel free to comment in the chat. I've got that up on the screen. I'll take a look at it. Okay. And I'll introduce the painting we're going to do today. Is this lovely sunset here. So you can see we've got sort of the yellow sun mixing into the red and then the blue. There's a distant shore. Think of loons calling and mosquitoes biting and campfire smell and all those wonderful things. This is a different version of the same painting that I've done just to show how it might turn out for you. And for this one, I used lemon yellow, vermilion, and phthalo blue. And this one, I used lemon yellow, crimson, and ultramarine blue. So just two examples, depending on what colors you will be using today. Okay, so let's get started. I'll put that there for reference. Jiggle you around a bit. You won't see my face, but at this point, I'll be facing away from you anyway, so that's all right. And here we go. So I'm going to take my yellow, whichever yellow you're using, and I'm not even going to bother putting it on the palette. I'm going to put it right on the painting. So put a little blob, maybe the size of a small pea, right in the middle. Hello, Arun Kumar. Welcome to you and everyone else. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so I've got my little blob of paint here. I'm going to start by spreading the paint out to make an eye shape. So think of a big eye in the middle of your painting. And I think already I am slightly regretting being cavalier about using this canvas, because I can see that my yellow doesn't have the covering power to cover the rest of the underpainting. So in that case, I'm going to run. Actually, you know, it'll be okay. It won't matter. So I've got a nice big eye shape, goes right from end to end here now. This is actually drying off a lot quicker than I anticipated. So I am going to take it and just hold the painting far away and give it a light spray. All right. Too much water and your paint thins too much, but we do want to keep this paint just a little bit active here. Make another little drop. And depending on how big your canvas is and how your yellow performs and how fast things dry where you are, you can add as much yellow as you think you need. So there we go. Big eye right across the middle here. You can also put it on your brush and paint it on that way. So I want to have a good amount of yellow on here. I want to be able to blend it with colors later. So when I run my brush across and I feel it sort of start to stick to the canvas, then I know I don't have liquid paint and I maybe need to add a little bit more. There we go. So making sure I've got no more yellow paint on my brush here. Gonna give it a quick dip in the water. And now I'm going to start with the red again. I'm going to put the red right on my brush and just going to smear it across the top here. And again, along the bottom. So there we go. Raking up and down, adding paint as we need to. And I'm going to start moving down, using my brush my brush is flat. I'm using it in a side-to-side motion as I start moving down. Adding more as I need. And the aim is to blend this into the yellow as best we can here, while still keeping that eye shape. So. You know what, that's not blending so well. So what you can also do is you can also take a dry brush and just start in the yellow and go across and pull upwards. I think I am having difficulty because things seem to want to dry very quickly today on me. So if your paint is fluid and mixing, great. If your painting is like mine and drying very quickly, you can go back with your clean brush to adding yellow where you want to mix things in. So that's what I've had to do right here. Just a different way of getting the same thing done. Now we're starting to see some blending. Not so sure I like that part here, so I'm going to blend a little bit over here. There we go. Sometimes adding just a little bit of water to your brush too can make it flow and move things a little bit better. Too much water, however, and you'll start to see things, the canvas coming through your paint, and if that's not what you want, then you're going to have to go back to adding more paint. I think I'm just going to do a little bit more right here around this corner. And I think I'm going to have to do something. This has come down now to the point where I don't think I can just blend it away. So I'm going to take the red and I'm going to draw a little bit of a cloud. And then again, mirror it on the bottom. There we go. A little cloud. Mirrored on both sides. Okay. Now I'm going to wash both my brushes. So now I'm going to take my blue and again I'm going to apply it right to the canvas here. So right to the edges. There we go. Two ways of holding your brush. If I have it flat like this moves paint by moving it back and forth. If I twist it so that it's up and down, this blends paint. So you get the effect of moving paint around on your canvas side to side, and also you'll get a thinner paintbrush stroke. This way is a way to get smooth blending. So consider that when you're working on your sunset here. And down to the bottom as well. I'm trying to work a little quickly. I don't want my red drying out. But just in case, I'm going to use both brushes again this time. So let's get some brush up and down. Ooh, sticky spot right there. Up and down, moving side to side. Nice smooth coat of paint that way. Again, moving in around here, the blue. And now I'm going to go back to my red, keeping both brushes. So keeping the blue on this one because I might want it later. But I'm going to go back to my red, and I'm going to put red on a clean brush. And work on moving up. And if you're thinking it's not turning purple, that's because if we really wanted it to turn purple, we'd need a color called Magenta, which is slightly pinker looking. Magenta is actually the true primary color, so magenta and cyan are what make a nice purple. We don't have cyan or magenta, so we're getting something a little bit closer to brown because there's other colors muddying up the mixture here. My blue's all dried off, so I'm going to go back to using my blue brush to revive that a little bit. So switching between the red and the blue to try to get a smooth effect here. That doesn't seem to be working too well for me. Things are drying really fast. I'm going to try my spray bottle here, see if that doesn't work a little bit better. Not much. And if it happens that things are really just not working out for you, that's okay. You get unexpected situations in every paint job. Here I am finding myself so surprised that everything is so dry very quickly. Must be the AC that's being pumped into this room is just making the air itself very dry. But you can always just stop, step away for an hour or two, let the paint dry, and rewind the video and go back and do it again. That's perfectly fine for you to do anytime you like. In fact, that's why I wanted to have this video recorded, so that you could go back and do just that. All right. I think, yep, that's about as good as I'm going to get, given how things are working at the moment. So there we go. That's our sky. I'm going to clean my brushes again. That's good for that for now. So right now, I'm actually not going to take my black yet. I'm going to take my blue, and I'm going to make use of the fact that the blue and the red mix the way they do. So I'm actually going to need more blue probably. More blue. A bit more red. So on my palette, I've got just 2 small peas worth. I'm going to take my detail brush, so one of my round brushes, mix those 2 together until I have some kind of a purple color. And in this case, the red has overpowered the blue a lot. So I'm going to add more blue. Mix it in carefully. And the reason we're not going straight to black is because having colors twofold. When you mix your own dark colors, your own blacks or your own dark browns, they look more interesting, visually interesting. The other reason is that we're drawing a distant shore, which means that there's going to be atmosphere, haze, between us and the distant shore, which means that it's going to appear lighter than black anyway. So I know maybe the examples I have, it doesn't look like it, but I don't actually use black for that shore. So taking my round brush, and it's covered in this purpley color, I'm just going to start by making a line across the middle. There. And as with most reflective ponds, you're going to do the same on top as you do in the bottom. So I'm going to do a tree here, squiggle, 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 and same over there. All right, and more. Squiggle, squiggle, squiggle. And I'm just going to try to loosely make the bottom match the top. Do a tall tree. If you find that your yellow is mixing in too, that's fine. Because what that's going to do is it's going to increase the darkness of your paint. It's actually going to go even more towards black. But again, it's a black we've mixed, so it's going to be interesting. And anytime you need, you can add more red or more blue. If the color doesn't completely match the last color you used, that's okay too. It'll add variation and variation to the shore and make it more visually interesting. So here I'm getting taller. Going to give it the appearance of having the trees be, or the shore swing around to be closer a little bit on this side. So the smaller your trees are, I'm going to say they're trees, the smaller or shorter they are, the more far away they look. And then the larger they are, the closer they look. So consider that. It's fine if you want the whole shore to look like it's far away. And just know that, you know, if you end up with a spot where, oops, I did a very tall tree, well, that's fine. You can just match it at the bottom and do some averaging out. Make the other trees around it a little bigger to match, and slowly fade them or shrink them into the background, I guess I should say. Maybe I'll make this side just a little bit bigger too. It's a small lake, not very big. There. All right, maybe just a bit more over here. So when you're satisfied with that, we're going to work on the water effect, which means that we're going to take I'm going to take my flat brush again. And I'm going to, I've dipped it in just a bit of water because my paint's drying up here, but I want it to be liquid enough. And flat because I want narrow. I'm just going to start going across like that and making some water ripples. So they're far away, you can keep them short. Yeah, just a touch more water. And again, the shoreline where the water starts is the very center of your canvas, this line of blackness here. So you'll go from that point down. So just throw in some little ripples. Gonna make more ripples around the edge here. And we are going to put in a shoreline, and you're going to find that with the shore down here close to the shore, we're going to get more dark ripples. So I'm just going to do a couple down around here. These ones can be bigger. Not going to draw the shore yet, but we can sort of prepare for it for when it comes. For the next step, I'm going to take my yellow and put a dab on that, and depending on how wet your canvas is, on how wet the paint is, you're going to need either a little or a lot. If you have a very, very wet canvas, you're going to want to probably get some paint on the tip of your brush, do just a couple strokes, wash your brush, dry it, do that again. That way you're not going to get too much mixing in. If you're like me and your canvas is drying instantly, then you probably don't have too much to worry about and you can do less. So I'm going to take my yellow and I'm going to start at the middle and just do a line there. And again, I'm going to try to keep them short. If you drew a shoreline that comes closer, the trees get bigger and so on, you can keep in mind that the closer a shoreline is, sort of the lower it will be. So that's why I've slightly lowered my strokes on the edge. They're still going to be flat, pretty much. So and again, just short back and forth strokes. think my yellow's not as strong as it could be, so I'm just going to add more of it, because the thicker it is, the better it will stand out. And once you've done near the shoreline, you're going to do the same effect, but further out here, where the orange and the red, or the yellow and the red kind of mix to make an orange. So and these ones, these strokes again can be a little bit longer. So the next step, obviously, and I'm not even going to bother cleaning my brush, I'm just going to add in a little bit of orange, or sorry, add in a little bit of red to make a slightly orange color. And I'm going to put lines of that anywhere where there's orange, and again kind of rippling into anywhere where there's yellow and purple. So add a bit more red. Now we're leaving sort of the orange color behind and moving into the full red. Again, just putting ripples around. Wherever you feel they need to be. And I've got my brush again in the horizontal position, just sweeping it back and forth. I think that was too strong. I'm going to add some shape in the sky to counter it. There we go. Now they match. I'm going to mix up a purpley color, a mixture of the red and the blue, just by slowly adding a bit of blue into the red here. I got my blue here, just adding it into the red I had. I'm happy with that. Let's start making lines out wherever there's purple. And again, these are closer still, so they're going to be slightly bigger. They also will probably resemble the color of the trees and the ones we put there earlier, so we don't need too many. And then without cleaning my brush, I'm going to mix it into the blue. And this is going to slowly let me create waves that blend into the blue color. So back and forth until I've got the pure blue. Make sure I've got some on the edges here. All right. So now I'm going to clean my brush. With my brush damp, I'm just going to go over with a wet brush and see if anything else moves. And I think not, but you can actually get some finer lines, some more variation and some blending if your paint has stayed even the slightest bit wet. I think mine's already dried, so that didn't do much for you, or for me, but maybe it'll do something for you. Okay. Finally, we're going to bring in the black. And the contrast between this full black and the almost sort of pretty close to black that we mixed up for the background is going to make the lamp black, or make the black stuff seem like it's in the foreground and this other stuff seem like it's in the background. So that's the contrast that's going to give us this depth into the painting. Okay. So I've got a clean brush and I'm just going to put the black paint right on there. Okay. And I think that's actually too much. I'll wipe some off on my palette. But I'm going to do a little mound over here, something, you know, hilly. And fill it in. And another somewhat bigger mound over here. And again, it's full black. We're only painting the silhouettes. I'm actually going to lift this out of here now. There we go. Smooth it over. If you've been to Northern Ontario, you might have seen those granite shores. Okay. Ooh, and it's raining again. You might be able to hear the background noise through the mic. I'm not sure, but it means it's a perfect afternoon for some painting. So, I'm going to do some pieces of grass. So, make sure I'm holding it there. Brush vertical, flip, flip, flip. There. And maybe some blades over here too. And I'm going to do a bush over here. Lots of short strokes, kind of almost dabbing. brush strokes. Because of course bushes aren't solid, they're kind of patchy. There we go. And maybe a bigger bush over here. And using my brush vertical again, I'm going to draw some branches, maybe a twig coming out of there. Okay, so just dabbing general shapes. On this side, I'm going to do a tree. So I'm going to go to about here. I'm going to start at the top. I'm just going to sort of sweep down vertically with my brush like that. Sweep down like that. Yeah. A little bit more black. I'm going to sweep down this way. And again, sweep down here. Kind of sweep down sideways this way. I need a little bit more black. I need more hands too. I'll make it work. There we go. Sweep down there. Ooh. And as you get lower, the branches just kind of get thicker. The sweeps get a little bit longer. You cover more area. You might do kind of a middle-ish sweep to sort of show a branch that's not completely off to the side here. And as we get to the bottom, you can just draw a straight line out the bottom to be a stump, or to be the trunk, I should say. And I'm going to put a bush under here. So again, short brush strokes, dip, 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 dip. More bush over there. There we go. Any changes I want to do to the tree? Fill it in a little bit. Just the top, just a tiny bit, I think. There we go. And there's our tree. And anything else you want to add to the bottom as well. Maybe a little bit more grass up under the tree. Maybe another rock. Sometimes there's rocks by the shore here. Maybe another bare branch just kind of sticking out here. And there we are. So you can see now we've got this dark, pure black foreground, this slightly hazier background, and this gorgeous fiery sunset. Now, if I had my white paint with me, I might even be tempted to pop in just a few stars up here. All right. Set that down to dry. And we're done. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to type them into the chat now. I'll do my best to answer them before I go. Just as I try to clean some of the black paint off my finger. There we go. There, that's better. And I'm going to spray paint my palette here so that nothing more dries on it and it'll be easier to clean off later. All right. Okay. Well, if there are no more questions, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you had fun. I hope your painting turned out well, but if it didn't, don't worry. You can always try again next time. This video will be here. Also, if you're feeling ambitious, last Wednesday night, this was a paint along I did as well. So you can go back and take a look at that if you'd like to challenge yourself to try something like this. All right. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it and have a great rest of your afternoon. Take care.